So today I am speaking with Rhonda Britton Jones. She is a wife and also a caregiver to a veteran. So in honor of Memorial Day, we want to spotlight her and her experiences as far as being a caregiver. So thank you so much for joining us today and being able to talk with me today about your experiences as a caregiver.
Thank you.
So we're going to get started into our questions. Tell me a little bit about you and about your husband.
Okay. Well, my husband is a United States Army veteran, and throughout his military experience, he experienced a lot of trauma. He experienced a lot of injury, being a part of well, not combat, but in his training as a combat soldier. My husband brought to our life and to our marriage a military experience that impacted all aspects of his life. So, with that, I'm a wife that has a husband that's been in the military. That's some part of our lifestyle, our life.
Right, right. And so you mentioned him experiencing a lot of trauma just due to his training and that sort of thing. Um, I would imagine that you was not his caregiver at the beginning of your marriage, that came later. So is that correct in saying that? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So when did you start caring for him and really um, working in the role as a caregiver?
Well, in 2018, I became a full-time caregiver to my husband due to injuries that he had that progressed and turned into something that he lived with, but became at a point where he wasn't able to take care of himself fully. So I became his caregiver in 2018.
Okay. Okay. And I would imagine that, we hear a lot about, well, we hear both sides of it. We hear where some veterans are not able to get resources, and then we hear where some veterans are able to get resources. How did you both find resources that would help you in being equipped to be a caregiver and also that would provide him with the resources that he needed?
Well, first and foremost, it was trial and error, getting the resources, becoming aware of what resources was available, and really just learning about the illness that I was experiencing, being taught to experience, and I'm taking care of a person. It was mostly trial and error, and really just learning about the exact injury that we were dealing with.
Okay. Wow. So, did you find, I'm sure in your trial and error, you found that, of course, there were certain things that were missing that, as far as resources that you were not able to find and some things that you were able to find. Did you find that there were any like inadequacies in your care, in the care for him? Did you find that there were certain resources that it took a lot or it was very difficult to find?
Well, it was difficult to find because I mostly had to learn about the injury, which areas that the and different services would take care of according to that injury. You had to be very specific. And my husband had a spinal cord injury, if I could be, you know, blunt about it. It was
Right.
a spinal cord. So I had to really just break it down to the point where I got him help in that area of spinal cord. At first, he just was to the hospital and to the people that would care for. He was just sick. He just had injuries. But once we incorporated it into and narrowed it down to the spinal cord, then there was other services that became available to him because we were dealing with one area. So mostly for us, it was mostly narrowing down to what area that we wanted to specifically focus on, where we can get the most help at that was beneficial to him and to me. And with doing that, we got more help, we got more resources, we got, more knowledge about how to take care of him properly, dealing with his spine, and just opposed to dealing with him just being upset, having problems.
Right. Wow. Okay. So basically, and that makes sense in providing care. If you don't know what it exactly is, the problem that is existing, they don't know. So they may give you broad answers, or they may not even know what you need. So for you had to figure out what it was. Was there any help that you received in figuring out specifically what his injuries were, specifically with the spinal cord injuries? Was there any help, any doctors that were helping you to advocate for him?
Well, you know what? It's amazing because that was the whole situation, but that was the beginning and that was the end. And that took us on the path to really getting what we needed. Like I said, we went to a neurologist. We went to, just medical doctors. And it was the neurologist that led us to, okay, this is what's going on. Because everybody else didn't have the right answer. It didn't make sense to me. We couldn't figure out what was going on. Like I said, once we found out that he had a spinal issue, it took us into a whole realm, and it was the path that we needed to be on to really deal with the situation that he was going through.
Wow.
So like I'm saying, what I'm trying to emphasize is the biggest thing with us was finding out what was really happening, what was really causing his, illness. Understood. And I'm focusing on that and taking us into the area that it touched on everything else that followed, for us to be able to take care of him properly.
Okay, that's great. So how are things now? Now that you've pinpointed what was the cause or the root of everything else, how has his care been now? How much easier has being his caregiver been more recently?
Well, the caregiving recently is excellent. With the knowledge, we have a path to go on. We know what to watch out for, what to look, how to get him better. We got a call yesterday, and our labs telling us that what we're doing is working.
Yes.
He's getting better. His care and his health is being managed, and he's just doing so much better from just knowing what we need to take care of, what we need to focus on. And one thing I just tell you is amazing, because once you know what's going on, you'll be surprised the thing that you're looking at may not be, really what's happening. It's other areas that cause certain things to go on. It's just really just a matter for us was just knowing that his injuries were in his spine, and because he had spinal cord injuries, it was causing all different kind of problems in different areas.
Wow. That's so helpful. That's really good. And I thank you for that, because even in my own experiences, I'm trying to think about the same thing. How do we get into the root, treating the root, and everything else will flourish from there? Yeah, that's really good.
It's amazing. It really is amazing to just deal with the root of the problems, and things that you're looking at somewhere else might not even be an issue. Once you get to the root, you'll see what causes certain problems and put you on a path to a better health life and be able to manage your care and things. You get excellent reports because you're focusing on what needs to actually go on.
Right.
And just for us, we're saying it's a spinal cord issue, but in that we find it out, well, if you take care of your blood pressure or if you take care of your blood sugar, those kind of issues, you can alleviate those issues that would cause more damage to the spine area.
Yes.
It's really amazing.
Yes. So let me ask you this question just to kind of distinguish between our general health care and more of the VA health system. Just in general, how do you think your personal care with the healthcare system and resources differs from your husband's with the VA health system?
Well, this is something that we're continuing to learn.
Okay.
The VA gives you options of seeking care outside of the VA or seeking care within the VA. I find that seeking care with the VA we've gotten further in our health care and managing our health care because we have, what we've done is get the care from the VA because they have a team of doctors. They have their own neurologists. They have doctors who speak with other doctors. They have like kidney doctors and stuff who speaks with the primary care doctor, who speaks with the neurologist. It's all centrally located in one team of doctors. Where when we go outside of that care, we might see a doctor in a hospital, but they don't send their records, they don't send their testings, to the primary care doctor, so they don't coordinate. So we find out that staying within one healthcare system, we get better care because the tests in one hospital can, get to the doctors, other doctors in that hospital. Going outside of that care, we get too confused. We get tests, don't get results. Nobody goes back to the primary care. The follow-up is not at all good. So staying centrally located in the VA system has helped us manage the care.
Right.
And it's really all about managed care.
Right. I agree with you. I think about my own experiences with my mom. I have to make sure that the primary care gets the kidney doctor's labs or reports and vice versa. So you have to make that conscious effort to make sure all doctors are aware of what's going on. Whereas I love that centralized sort of healthcare where everybody communicates with everyone. So it's not the doctors aren't getting a limited view of what's going on. They're getting a larger, broader window where they can look at all different aspects of care to be able to give you the best care that they could give. So I love that.
You know what I'm like? We've been to the emergency room a couple of times, and I always tell extra, well, is his primary care going to get notification? And they like, no, our records don't go over to another care. So you spent all this time in this care facility, and your primary care or your kidney doctor or your neurologist don't get those answers, and it makes it another appointment to do the tests all over again, so they can have it.
You are correct.
So, like I said, we try to centralize our care in one area, in one facility, and not go all over the place.
Yes. I love that. So I have one last question for you. Being a caregiver, as you know, can be difficult. There are times when, constantly having to give and pour and all of that can leave you burnt out, can leave you tired. So in general, just a light question. How do you take care of yourself, number one? And number two, how do you, beyond the doctor's appointments, beyond the different places that you have to take your husband, how then do the two of you still have your marriage and spend time together?
Well, for one, it's difficult. But two, for us is organization. Mm-hmm. We have a schedule. It's like following the ABCs for us. We get up and do A, we get up and do B, and and we to try not to go outside of doing what the next thing, that, like in the alphabet, our ABCs, without completion, without having to go back. We have a schedule. Like I get up early, and I'm up before my husband is up every morning. Thank God that I'm just wired like that. But I have my morning time where, you know, my cup of coffee early in the morning. We're not speaking. We don't talk to each other. We don't. First, let Rhonda have her coffee in the morning, and that's when our day begins in our schedule. We maintain a certain schedule. It allots me as a me time. I have certain part in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and before bed. Within all of those periods, I have 15 or 20 minutes, or whenever I decide to just need that time, where I just take time for myself, where you have to wait, it'll get done, but right now this is my time. So we just try to work with each other. You know, part of our relationship is that we work with each other. You know, we're always together, but there's a time where I have for myself. And it's a matter of he being patient and, you know, us just cooperating with each other and just staying organized where we do the same things mostly like every day. You know, there's times where I have to, you know, just be patient enough to say, okay, this is your time. You want to get out the house. You want to do things. And, you know I have to put a little extra effort and energy into making him feel comfortable. I got to be sensitive to him not being able to do what he want to do and depending on me to help him. So breathe and just focus. Sometimes I have to just go with the flow. But mainly as long as we're organized, we can accommodate each other in things that we want to do and making each other feel all right and comfortable and not overwhelmed. You know, being organized and not being overwhelmed is like the most important part of because in caring for him, he's a caregiver for me because he has to keep me together so that I can keep him together. It works both ways.
Right. So I love that. I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I know you have your schedule and things that you want to get done. So I just thank you again. You've helped me, even though I'm not caring for a veteran. You've definitely helped me, and I thank you so much for talking to me today.
And let me emphasize to you, too, in caring for a veteran, my husband was 17 when he became, when he went into the Army. So he was a young guy, you know, so he grew up in the Army. He came home from the Army, you know, after getting there early, enlisting early, and then growing up and going through a lot of training and stuff. So when he came back from the Army, he was a changed guy, you know, and you know, military people, they have their training is a matter of structure and, you know, just for them to be able to serve, you know, they learn a lot of different things that might not be, you know, according to how we, non-military people, we're not used to being so structured and so organized, but it's helped us, so. Whatever. You gotta see it to believe it not. you know you're
I do. So again, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon.
Okay.
I hope I could be of help.
Thank you. You have been. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye. So that was my talk with Rhonda Britton Jones and her experiences as far as being a veteran. I thank you all so much for joining us today. Please be sure to follow us on www.thecompassionatecarer.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and Melaninterest. So if you have any questions, be sure to email us at info@thecompassionatecarer.com. Or if you have any other resources you would like to add to this, we thank you in advance for what you're going to be contributing to us. Thank you again and hope to see you soon. So today I am speaking with Rhonda.